Hi, everyone. Hang on. Let's get things set up here. Give me just a sec, folks. Okay, how are you? Happy Thursday. Let's do this in a sec. Watching it go live on LinkedIn. I love social in general, but I got to tell you, LinkedIn is my favorite. 3, 7, 9, 10, 11. Here they come. Slowly but surely. First up, hey, Marcus. Hey, Wade. What's going on? they come one, come all. Good stuff. All right, hold on. Let's let LinkedIn catch up here for just a second. That way I know you're there. I see the names pile on, then I can see questions and comments. Hey, there it is. Gregor, what's up? Matt Sauer, what's up? Adil, how are you, sir? What's going on in Dubai? Marcus, surprising that it is Thursday. You're correct. I made a mistake. I'll tell you about that in a minute. She thinks I look blurry. Hey, what is this blurry you speak of? Best I've got, dear. I don't know why I might be blurry. If it doesn't improve in just a second, tell me, and maybe we'll try something crazy midstream, and we'll just go over to the laptop. In the meantime, I'm going to get started. Margarita, how are you? Adam, good to see you. LinkedIn user with no name. I'll still say hello to you in France. There's Mexico, Pennsylvania. Hey, Iris, good to see you. Omar from Bahrain. Wow. Costa Rica, lovely. Peru, good stuff. New Jersey representing. I love it. All right, great to see you guys. Listen, I hope you're doing well. I always start the same way recently for a reason. We live in a strange new world. It feels like it's been a long time, doesn't it? But it has not. It's just it's just unbelievably become a new world fast. Listen, just last March, I was emailing someone today from this event, from the client. I was on stage, Sydney, Australia. True story. I don't think I've ever shared this with you. I was on stage live in Sydney speaking at an event, and it was going great. And then when I was done, lovely event, when I was done, as soon as I got off stage, the person in charge of the entire multi-day event got on stage and announced that they were closing down the event immediately. Why? Because they were about to close down the country immediately. And I had to get on a plane quickly before I lost the opportunity to come home. What a strange new world. I'm doing the very best I can to make lemonade from these lemons. I hope you are too. I see so many people, more than typical, who are online talking about what it means to be mindful of this situation, to be managing stress, to be avoiding burnout, to be thoughtful about mental health. That's for you and for people you work for. And I think that's great. And I don't know about you, but I hope that if you need someone to talk to, whether it's a note to me, a new conversation with a friend or your partner, or maybe someone who's a professional at work or otherwise, I hope you will do that. There, that's my public service announcement, and I hope that you take that seriously. Today we will talk about mistakes. Man, I'm an expert. How about you? Have you made any interesting mistakes lately? And by the way, if the answer is no, well, then why not? It's really important. I'm going to talk about this week's content for just a little while. Then, as usual, take some questions at the back end and really try and make sure to get to them. And if I don't, as always, I will just reach out to you and try to answer offline, because that's the purpose of doing this, is to be useful to people and build some connections between me and this entire community. So back to mistakes. Fascinating topic. I think we've made progress. I do not think we've made enough progress. Mistakes fuel learning, and yet we still treat them very much like stigmas, things that are embarrassing that we don't want to talk about, things that we don't want others to know about, things that we just rather ignore and pretend they never happened. Recovering from errors and mistakes becomes a surprisingly important, if not strategic, skill set. I'm curious how you feel about that, whether or not you've done that recently or whether you're prepared the next time that it happens. I made one very recently. I've become pretty consistent doing Wednesday streams and just got busy. You ever do that? You ever actually have to look at a colleague or a client or your boss and go, I'm sorry, I just forgot. I got busy. It's really not going to make you look very impressive, but that's what I did yesterday. I just forgot. I got busy and I forgot. Sorry about that. So it's a Thursday stream this week. Hey, things happen. No big deal. Let's see if we can't think about this topic a little deeper. And thanks to my screw up, well, it made me think about it. I'm going to share with you the thoughts that came to mind that I've seen myself and many others use to more effectively, nothing's perfect, but more effectively step away from the mistake and start stepping in the direction of making progress again. So here we go. Hey, we got India. We got Boca Raton. What's happening? Rather tough lessons. LinkedIn user with no name says, yeah, mistakes? Nah, what are you talking about? Of course you're making mistakes. If you're not making mistakes, I guarantee you're not doing anything terribly interesting. Yeah, that probably sounds a little in your face, maybe a little too aggressive. I got to tell you, what we know about successful people or teams who understand innovation and long-term competitive behaviors, they screw up. Why? Because they're pushing hard. They don't like just goals. They go for tough goals, interesting goals, goals that make you really strive, audacious goals. And when they do that, guess what? There's learning involved. It takes time. And sometimes you trip and fall. You make mistakes. Sometimes it's simple, like me yesterday. Hey, I forgot. Sometimes it's a lot more complex and costly and painful. Hey, you know what? I actually tried that thing and it just didn't work. I spent a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort from the team. Just didn't work. Looks like an error or a failure or a setback. Great. Let's think about that. Number one, I already said this, I'm going to say it again. If you haven't done it in a while, you're not trying hard enough. Number two, if you're really going through that right now, listen, that's normal. Talk about mental health a minute ago. Stop beating yourself. That's completely normal. For me, it's a sign of somebody interesting. Whenever I meet someone, I love bringing up a few things, especially when I don't know them and they don't know what I do. And I talk about this one to strangers because I find out quick who's comfortable talking about the fact that we are all humans. Humans are hilariously imperfect. You are, I am, and they make mistakes. And that's a beautiful thing. It gives us a reason to lighten up and laugh at ourselves. Most importantly, if you care about progress and moving forward, it lights a fire for learning. It's a catalyst for doing something differently and better next time. So let's think about a few things you can do the next time you screw up, make an error, and need to recover in the eyes of others. Let's do that. Just looking. I can't not look. Hey, Salt Lake, what's going on, Jessica? Brazil. Oh, wonderful to see you. Marcus, how are you? Marion, good to see you. Hey, she's in Ireland. Wonderful. All right. This is too easy for me because sometimes I push too hard, which means I make a lot of mistakes. So I have a chance to think about this topic. Here we go. Number one, own the mistake. So many people, when an error happens, hey, the project really failed. Hey, that simple thing I forgot to do. Whatever it is, big or small, they just like to freeze. They like to act like it didn't happen, posture a little bit, maybe see if anyone even noticed. Maybe I could ignore this, they might say to themselves. No. What a real interesting professional, a person who's a leader, aspires to be a leader, a person who believes in learning as a foundation for innovation does. I mean, always does. They, number one, own it. To own the situation means just like when you have a win and you go, hey, thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that. That was me. Appreciate it. Thank you. Went well. That's owning a win, and that's easy to do. It's not impressive at all, even if it is fun on occasion when you have a cool win. I'm talking about when chips are down and you've screwed up. You have to step up sooner, not later. Quicker tends to be better. You don't make a big deal out of it, but you do it to the key constituents who matter. I'm not talking about crafting an email to go company-wide just because you want to listen too much to what I'm saying. No, I'm telling you to go after the key people that matter. The client that was upset, the colleague you let down, the boss who's looking at you like you're strange, maybe the whole team of 4, 5, 10, 20 people, whatever it is. Don't go too big. Who really has knowledge of what you did? Who was impacted by what you did? That's the group. To them, you you own it. That means you step up and admit what happened, admit your culpability. I'm not saying you have to say it's 100% on me. I'm not saying that, but you do have to own your share. In fact, don't talk about how much you do or do not own. Just say, this is really primarily on me. I did this. That's number one. Own that. Say, I'm sorry, it happened. That's on me. Now, it's very simple. It's very often ignored. I should tell you, by the way, we all make mistakes. I said that, but how many of us truly effectively recover from mistakes and make them somehow long-term a positive thing? I got to tell you from experience, not a scientific comment, but from experience, it's 10 to 20% of us maximum that do it the way I'm kind of talking about today and make it something that really does help push us forward, make us better. So number one, own it. It only takes a few seconds. Don't write too much. Don't say too much. Be concise, be positive, be unemotional, be clear. Take responsibility for what you did. Don't wait. Get on it. That's number one. And it's too often ignored, which really leads to problems as we walk through this list. Listen, number two, no blame. One says, I did it. I'm owning the situation. Number two, it's so easy to start thinking about who else may or I think might be part of the reason that this error happened and talk about them, name them, point them out. Here's the word, ready? Blame them. Don't do that. Blame is a very dangerous thing. It is almost universally received as something that does not make you look better. Blame is not useful. In fact, if you've been following me, since back in the day when I had a real career as a professor, I used to love thinking of simple ways, simple hooks to try and get students to remember things. And I turned that, of course, into a way to write books and speeches. Hooks are useful. Blame is not useful. Blame for me is an acronym I created for students years ago. I've got a rated PG version. Some of you watching might remember this. I've got a rated PG version and a rated R version, and I'm feeling a little spunky today. I'm giving you both. The PG version stands for barely legitimate, almost meaningless excuse, because that's what blame is. If you're feeling a little spunky like I am, the rated R version is bullshit, lame ass excuse. Forgive my French, but I bet you'll remember that. Blame is very easy, impresses no one, may or may not inform them, but impresses no one. Very often casts a negative shadow on you. Here's the kicker. You ready? Blame, it's like a drug. Once you hit it, it gets easier, more comfortable, something you desire to do more. It becomes a go-to move for a lot of people. Now, don't name names. I bet you know more than one colleague who have fallen prey to that trap where this easy kind of blame thing, it's really not about me, it's about A, B, and C, and they point to that team, that person, that leader. Blame doesn't do anything except make you look uncomfortable with the reality and unproductive in terms of how we should move forward. Don't do that. Sindhu, good morning. How are you? Misty, how are you? Okay, Misty, I love it. Look at you owning this the way I'm trying to. She said, I earned the Dumbass Award yesterday. No one's perfect. I don't know what your example was, but apparently it made an impression on you. And hopefully this chat will help you think through how to move past that so that frankly, it's actually okay, if not an asset long term. There she is. Misty just asked a question. Let me jump on this real quick, Misty. How can we move forward more positively knowing flu season's around the corner? All right. First of all, Misty, I'm not that kind of doctor, but I'm going to answer anyway. Whether it's flu season that you're worried about or whether it's something else, the truth is there's what you can deal with and there's what you can't deal with. And as long as everyone's aware of what's in your power, what is under your control, then you're fine. You can't control flu season. All you can do, and this is great. I still tell this to so many people who have constraints they didn't expect and they don't think that they're responsible for, like flu season, from their bosses. The bosses really are kind of looking at you as if you're responsible for something that's above your pay grade, that's out of your control. What do you do about that? You don't get angry. You don't blame. The only thing you do is state the fact that this thing, quickly, concisely, is out of your control, And then you set expectations. They may or may not like expectations that you set, but you tell them, in fact, the project will be done by Friday. Monday won't work. That's just entirely too soon. I'm sorry. Possibly if you gave me more resources, we could get that done. But if it's just me, boss, I don't want to be unclear with you or to mislead you. It'll be done Friday, maybe Thursday if I don't sleep, but not Monday. Now you've used very few words. You've set expectations. They can react to that. All you can do is be professionally honest, which is what setting expectations really is. And then they're going to react exactly as they see fit. So hopefully, like Misty, all of you are trying at life hard enough that you're making a few errors and you got to try and recover. And that's what we're chatting about today. Number one, own it. It's part of who we are as humans. Just own it. Number two, no blame. Sometimes that's a reaction to us trying to own it, and it feels a little more balanced or somehow better when we point those fingers at others. That's blame. It's a drug. Don't do it. Barely legitimate, almost meaningless excuse. You'll have to rewind the tape when we're done to catch that rated R version. Number three, this is huge. You ready? Learn something. Don't just say, wow, I survived. Hey, they didn't fire me. So-and-so didn't notice. So-and-so only got a little mad. So-and-so doesn't seem to care. I survived. No, that's not good enough. Learn something. Actively think through how that incident that's kind of embarrassing came to be. Articulate, if you can get to that root cause, what truly happened. That's the thing that's going to make you better later, is actively looking at it. Most people run, they put it in the back of their head, they don't want to think about it, etc. Don't do that. Don't be like them. Actively look at it. It only takes 5-10 minutes. Really think about it. How did I find myself here? What's the root cause, and what can I learn about doing this thing differently on the next time, the next go round? Now, listen, it might be about you and your process. It might be about some relationship issues that you have. It might be about an expertise issue that you have. Who knows what that root cause is? What I'm telling you, when I offer those categories, it's to stimulate your thinking about the situations that you're in. I want you to really get specific. Again, check the blame before this step. Get specific about what that cause most likely is. And to be frank, there's often multiple causes. Don't get lost spending gobs of time trying to assign some percentage to different factors or explanations. Don't do that. Get simple. Think about you, not other culprits who may have helped you make this error, and what you can do different. Think about your expertise. Think about relationships and how you manage them or screw them up sometimes. Think about the process that you followed. Where within those possibilities is the best major explanation for why this thing went wrong? That's what you're trying to find. All right. Ikram says, hello, how are you? Mark, how are you, sir? People who make mistakes are the ones doing the work. Mark, nothing more interesting to me has been said today. Thank you, sir. Adam also gives me some age-old wisdom. Thanks, Adam. If you're pointing your finger at someone, which I do too much, just like this, don't forget you got all these fingers pointing back at who? At you. Wonderful, classic piece of advice. Own it. No blame. Learn something. We got 2 more steps. Number 4, make amends. This is the part a lot of people dread even more than owning it. Make amends. What can you do to those who were impacted to make it somehow okay? Now, you've already started this process by being an adult, by being a professional, by being responsible, by having integrity, which means you're going to own the situation without blame. And then they don't know this, but you've started to learn as well about why this happened. So you can articulate something to yourself that'll help you do it differently and more successfully moving forward. They don't know that, but that's really an investment in working with them as a better colleague. Okay, but now we got to get more overt and let them know. Guys, I not only own this, I figured out what went wrong. Here's the explanation. That's a big word, explanation. Listen, people don't always have to like the explanation that you give for challenging things that you're discussing, such as an error that you made or whatever bad news you might be discussing. They don't always like it, but when they believe in you, some multiple related factors here, when they believe in you and when they believe the explanation is sincere, when those things are in place, and they're huge, They don't have to love the explanation per se, but they will accept it, process it in a productive way, and respect you for owning it in this fashion. That's so huge to share with you. They don't have to love what you say. They don't have to feel emboldened by it. They don't have to think it's clever. They don't have to think it's awesome. They just have to think that you're owning it. You have integrity. You're being honest. This is a root cause and you're sharing it matter of fact because you respect them and want to be straight with them. When you do that, that's a great explanation. And they still respect you even when they don't like the admission is what it is that you're sharing with them. And they also know, and this is huge, you ready? They also know you're a step closer to fully understanding this, thus not doing the same thing again, because you have clarity about what it is that you did. They want to know that you thought about it, you get it, and you're going to move forward differently. That's what making amends is, offering that explanation and following it with, hey, guess what? I think I know how to make this situation foolproof. Now, just between you and me, I know not everything is foolproof. That's okay. Some tasks you can really idiot-proof. Other tasks, big projects, you cannot. But you can reduce the odds of making the same error twice by learning something and attempting to change your expertise, the personnel with you work, how you work with them, the process, some aspect of it that explains the error. If you were to improve that root cause, you have good odds, I mean, really good odds of reducing the likelihood of doing this thing again. That makes you smart. In the eyes of your boss, that makes you look diligent. In the eyes of the team, that makes it look like you care and that you are modeling the behavior you always ask them for. I love that. Question. It's a little related, a little unrelated. I'm going to give you a quick blurb here. Mudra, M-U-D-R-A. Sir, if I am pronouncing that wrong, you have my apology. How do you gain mental strength? That's a whole nother stream, my friend. The truth is you have to learn to laugh at life and laugh at yourself. Partially, that's what we're doing today, laughing at errors. Why? Because that's a foundation or a beginning for learning from them. And when you do that, it's amazing in life, in a project after an error, in life in general, whatever, how much faster you can start to make progress and feel comfortable with that progress, feel comfortable with your humanity and the normal imperfections we all face. If in fact you start with laughing and then learning. Follow me, laughing and then learning. I'll give you one more and then I'm going to move on from this question. And then surround yourself to the best of your ability with people who understand that, why it's important and are chasing it the way you're chasing it. When you do that, the odds that you move forward faster go up significantly. That makes me very, very happy. All right, one more quick one. Kate, what happens if we get the just make it happen boss? You know, some bosses don't want to know. It's like sausage to them. They don't want to know how it's made. They just want to know you're going to get it done. And then you have an error. But if you have an error for one of those types of bosses, it's not clear if they're going to want to hear the more lengthy, articulate, thoughtful process that I'm giving you for trying to recover from an error. Sometimes they don't. It's important to say this, Kate. It's a great question. Sometimes they don't. A lot of bosses, more than 50% in my experience, do want to hear, because when they hear the things I'm talking about from you today, when they hear it from you, they have more confidence in you because they know you're not sitting around not thinking about it. They know you're not sitting around just trying to disavow it or blame people or other unproductive things, but you're owning it. You're constructing a better way forward, etc. So if you have one of those bosses, just get it done. Great. Just let them know in a tiny number of words. I understand why I did that. Here's how I'm fixing it. It won't happen again. Boom, done. As quick as humanly possible. But still try to make sure they know that you've done that. Cyrus, that's a big question. I'm going to get there in just a minute. Let me wrap up. Number 1, own it. 2, blame. 3, learn something. 4, make amends. How are you going to do this differently? And frankly, are you going to put in the extra work that's required to make them whole? If the error hurt them, if it just upset them a little, that's one thing. If it hurt them, caused them issues, can you fix them? Be realistic, be honest, and be willing to put in extra time to get that done. Here's the last one, number 5. Forgive my French today. Apparently I am feeling a little spunky. Kick ass. Learn to kill it at work. I want to tell you one of the golden rules of business. Your imperfections matter less to the extent that you know how to kill it based on the metrics that matter in your performance context. Every one of you works somewhere else. You do different things. I don't know what the metrics are that drive you. Usually there's 2, 3, 4, sometimes 1, sometimes 10, usually just a small number of metrics that really do define performance excellence wherever you are. Learn to kill it. Put in the time, put in the extra hours, do the training, whether they're paying, whether you're paying. Work very hard to become a 20%er. I always call it that, a 20%er, for a lot of reasons. Meaning, without question, based on the data, the promotions, the raises, the evaluations, without question, you're a better performer at work, and people appreciate that. When you are that person, let me tell you something, being imperfect becomes kind of interesting and colorful part of who you are, as opposed to an irksome, weird thing that people have to tolerate. The context of strong performance gives people comfort and confidence with you. So whatever you have to do to learn how to be great at your job, man, go do that, because that's a context within which you can just afford to be a little more human and accelerate the learning process after these errors in the fashion that we're talking about. One more quick question, and then I'm going to wrap up. Cyrus, I work for a toxic management team at my last employer. I communicate, blah, blah, blah. Finally got the letter, told me I messed up some. Okay, so let me just take a general swipe at that question, Cyrus. When you work in a toxic environment, all kinds of ideal advice people like me love to share with you have to be put in check first. Why? In a toxic environment, and I'll let you answer this, is that 20%, 30%? It's a big minor chunk of places out there. I know that. It gives me a career for better or for worse. Sometimes doing the right thing makes things worse. I don't like saying that, and I don't say it that often. But sometimes, for the wrong people with the wrong skills, the wrong attitude, the wrong personality, or for whatever reason, the person who just does not accept, enjoy, or like you, doing the right thing can actually make things worse. What? Yeah, if you're talking more with certain people about your errors, for example, and how you're understanding them, learning from them, moving past them, making that a catalyst for learning, well, they're really just going to be mad. They have to talk to you more about errors that made them angry, not because that's the way things are, but because that's the way they are. So when you're in a toxic situation, you're going to take advice from people like me, and you're going to use it slower, and you're going to use this amount instead of this amount, because you're not sure how toxic people will relate to it. And then long term, I got to tell you, long term, you can't stay there. That's a tough thing to say to you. But if you have any real reason to believe that you're going to be in that environment with that boss or two, whoever's creating the toxicity, for more than another year or two, which is possible to cope through that period, you got to go. I don't care how much work. I don't care the sacrifices you got to make. If you stay, you're going to make worse sacrifices long term. Your reputation becomes stained. Your health starts to fall. Toxic environments are almost never something I would encourage someone to rationalize and stay inside of for more than a short period of time. Okay, if I missed your question, thank you for being here. Let me get back to that list, because I'm going to try and reach out online and connect with you. I got to tell you, I started writing a course today. There's a book that kind of put me on the map. It's called Show Your Ink, and I'm going to make a course out of it. I'm very excited about that. You're going to enjoy what it means to talk about, personal growth and authenticity and related topics in the book. I'll have more on that as it gets done. As you know, the next book, Live Hard, is coming out very soon. You will know from me when that's going to happen. Hey, look, if we're not connected yet on LinkedIn, let's do that. There's so much I want to share with you, and I'm always open to your questions, so please send them to me. If you've not been to the website lately, go check it out. There's always something new on the blog, and I definitely want you to sign up for the newsletter. It's a free, informative dose of practical advice from yours truly every single month, sometimes multiple times per month. I hope you enjoy it, and I continue to love your support and feedback. Questions and comments, send it my way. Otherwise, I hope you have a spectacular Thursday. I'll see you next week. Bye.